Oh my God. I'm going to fucking vomit.
All right.
I can't. I need oxygen. I'm going to be sick to my stomach.
Welcome back, Snapback Bets fam. NFL week number 8. The boys are here. I'm Jack Settleman. This is the Fishman Do.
The Fishman Do in first place. When do I get a title change?
Right now, change it. No, change. You could take it. You're sharp. You could take it.
I'm the sharp square.
All right. Big breaking news.
Just call me the circle or the triangle.
The intern is now the sharp, and we've got the drunk uncle, Mr. Uppy, and our new fish is Timmy K. Timmy K, hit us with the recap.
Casey, by the way, it should be Casey own that ass Settlement.
Yep.
You
I like that.
Own that ass.
Correct.
My daddy, Pedro Martinez, he said, at this point, I just got to tip my cap and call the Yankees my daddy. I feel the same way about Casey.
That's good self-awareness, and I appreciate it.
I call it how it is.
Yep.
And I can do that because I secretly went, if no one's gonna believe me, I secretly went 5-1 over the NFL slate last week. I just gave you guys all the Titans. So again, it's like the cardinal sin. You don't like whine about that, but if anyone goes back, watch the film, I got peer pressured into the Titans. We were all together.
That's fair. That's fair. And I'll give a shout out to our friends at Pikkit where you can see our picks. So I know not all of Tim's picks made it onto Pikkit because we were down in Austin, but they will in the future be there. You can follow the Snapback Bets account for all of our action. And Tim will continue to be a 55% bet tour. But on the show, we got to give out winners.
You get one pick.
That's what we're going to do.
That's how it works. You get one pick. Last week, recap, Jack, he laid 2 with the Jets. Uppy, Buccaneers plus 3.5. Tim, Titans plus 9.5. Consensus, 49ers minus 1.5. And the one winner, of course, Casey, own that ass Settlement, Houston Texans plus 3. Didn't scare him at all. Just took the points.
Yep. I wore this as a reminder to the show that I would like to implement a rule. I understand the statistics against Lamar as a big favorite, but he's a different Lamar. If people want to take it as such, they can or they can't. I would just like to say maybe we don't bet against him. The Ravens don't need to be on our pick sheet every single week, but maybe we just stay away from betting against the best player in the NFL. But yeah, those are my 2 cents.
I guess there is something to be said about, not betting against Mahomes when it's 3 or less. I know you got the hook here, and I like the pick. And as a Ravens fan, I'm going to defend Uppy. 10-0, best receiver in franchise history, drops the touchdown. That game could have gone very different. And the way it started is the way I've seen many Ravens games going. That doesn't mean I thought the Ravens were necessarily going to lose, but the leaky defense and the playing from behind and having to win small, I do not hate that pick.
Yeah,
I'm going to defend.
I believe the score at one point was 41 to the Ravens, 18 to the Buccaneers.
They ended up killing them.
If that ever becomes the score, don't ever try and tell me that it was a good
Well, I disagree because what we're going to do is talk about the Niners, and Uppy pulled that back at you. I still like the Niners bet. I didn't know Brandon Ayuk would tear his ACL, and I also didn't know Deebo Samuel was throwing up all over the place.
I didn't know Brock was playing for the Chiefs either.
I just, yes, Tim always talks about, Devontae Adams. We were debating, is he worth 1/4 point, 1/2 point? When you lose your top 2 wide receivers, that does make a huge impact in the game. It's tough to put a point on it, but when you lose them in the game, that makes a huge impact. And then no defense on my side. I'm done with the Jets. I was wrong on the Jets. They are a disaster class. And
it's strong for you to admit you were wrong, but can you also apologize to the group for trying to gaslight us into not thinking that it was good play?
What do you mean?
Tim, did you felt gaslighted?
Oh, I was so gaslit. It was, I was a propane tank.
I just think that there's 2 sides to each thing. And I still feel like that talent level is up there. But listen. because Texas lost on Saturday and all my Jets bets besides the show pick were tied to Texas, I didn't actually care what happened in the game. Obviously, I wanted to cover for the show, but not having to be on that side was so refreshing because they are just a disaster class. Same thing as the Bucs versus the Ravens. The Jets were up 15-6 in that game. Russell Wilson looked atrocious. Then their best player got shot in the chest with a football. It ricocheted and went the other way. And look, at this point, yeah, it's the Jets. That's what you guys were saying. But what I was saying was the talent level is there, but they will never stop getting in their own way. And I just never know how much to handicap that in. And I think because there's always narratives, right? There was always this narrative around Jokic couldn't get it done in the playoffs. Like he's a playoff choker. Lamar, he's a playoff choker. Mahomes always gets it done. It's a question of how much value do you put on those things. And I obviously wasn't putting enough value on it. And the last thing I'll say is the Jets are -6.5. I hate it, which means they're winning by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I just to close that, I think with putting a number on it, I think it's really difficult to do so. But I think it's when you look at their opponent and a team that, again, we know they have at least one really good unit. They have been a steady operation, and it's like that is now when they go play New England, right? It's like what can you point to at New England that is like, okay, if the Jets jet, can New England take it, do anything about that? That is like, I think the difference. And look, and if you look, the Jets, it's the one team they've pummeled this year, New England.
No, the one thing you guys pointed out was like that's how the Steelers were going to play the game, was to let the Jets be the Jets. The irony is like Watt didn't wreck the game, and I know whatever the Jets can do to mess it up, they will do. But like the Garrett Wilson thing,
and Adams also was not worth any amount of points.
Yep,
correct.
All right, should we get into pick number 1?
We should get into pick number 1. You talked about how cluster injuries at the receiver position can really torch a team. Well, that's what I'm going to look at right here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are catching 2.5 at home. I'm going the other way. Atlanta Falcons -2.5. And really, I liked the Falcons when I did guess the line in my early projections on Monday. I had Atlanta before that Monday night game was played, before Mike Evans, before Godwin. Wow. I had Atlanta as a slight favorite in that game, going into this week. And the reason I got there was because these two teams played earlier in the year. Atlanta was a -2.5 point home favorite. And so that meant on a neutral that Atlanta was 1.5 better than Tampa Bay. Okay. Take out 1 point for home field. Now we flip it to Tampa Bay. They get a point for home field. I had Atlanta then, that math, as a -0.5 favorite. So now we get these injuries. I have these injuries at about a point and a half. I'm probably on the lesser end of that. And then on top of that, you have this short week for Tampa Bay, and you have Atlanta coming off a blowout loss. I think getting under 3 here is a bit of a gift. I like them on the money line, and I would like Atlanta -2.5. The best way that you beat Atlanta is by, utilizing your receiver, chucking the rock down the field. Tampa Bay now can't do that. So really hurts that situation. And in that game, when these two teams played like 3-4 weeks ago, Atlanta outgained Tampa Bay 550-33. And then through the air, 477-173. So I know the game went into overtime, but to me, Atlanta is a really good spot here.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. My only drawback is it's like, is this going to be the most public bet of the entire slate? Not that
the most public bets are like 14-0 this season.
Not that should scare us off anything. It just feels too good to be true, too easy to be true. But I like it.
Well, I think because this group was all on Seattle and like we've picked our spots with Atlanta, I think maybe we're higher on Atlanta. Like this was just the classic spot for Seattle, and now we're kind of bouncing back off them. A lot of people watched them lose by 30 points to Seattle. They look terrible. Cousins can't move. So I think, yes, it will be the public side just based off of Evans and Godwin being down. But I do think you'll probably get a couple of people who are like, they lost in overtime. They're at home this time, and the Falcons maybe aren't that good. So I think that is why you're assuming it's going to be more public than maybe it actually comes in at.
Fair. Yeah, I guess because we all just knew Seattle was going to thrash them. I didn't even like think twice about that result, but to someone, it's like, holy fuck, they just got stomped by Seattle. So that's a good point.
Smashed at home as a
Yeah.
3-point
exactly.
favorite. And we've
Yep.
seen road favorites are just insane right now. Since week 5, they're 16-2 against the spread. Like, just
Okay,
blindly
EA, I see you.
betting road favorites, you could be in a great spot. I think that's what I need to be doing, honestly.
The Jets are one of those road favorites that didn't cover, just for the record.
Yeah, Jack, you and I talk a lot off the show about how much NFL betting has changed, whether it's, betting being more legal, whatever it is, that like old school spots aren't there anymore. And like some of those being home dog, like home divisional dog. And I think one of the reasons that spot is, I guess, fading away a little bit is because the lines just they adjust over time. That's why like trends over time can change because eventually there's gonna be an adjustment. And I think we've seen almost like an over adjustment where it's like, okay, Atlanta or Tampa Bay is a home dog here. Maybe 5 years ago when you and I were licking our chops on this, it was Tampa Bay
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. Tampa Bay +4. Tampa Bay +3.5. I felt, I didn't bet that Denver New Orleans game on Thursday night with, New Orleans having a million injuries. I'm like, I'm not laying points on the road with Denver here. And, turns out they go blow the doors off, right? So I think some of those old adages, it's like, look, just go what your numbers say. And, I'm so sick of seeing these graphics every week of public money, this and that. It's like, maybe at this point, it just doesn't matter as much as we thought, and it's adjusting to those sort of things.
I also think public money and tickets, right? A lot of that data comes out by book now. And a lot of that data doesn't necessarily mean sharp money, right? When Tim says the sharps are pounding something, if they're betting it heavy on Wednesday, pre-injury report, that's sharp money. But because a big bet comes in Sunday morning on a side, just because it's a large amount of money, that doesn't necessarily mean it's sharp.
These tweets they put out on Sunday morning where it's like everyone's on this side. It's like, what number did they get this at?
Correct.
What price was this at? No, they're just putting all the action lumped onto one side, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, I think there's like for instance, Philly and Cincinnati. Philly got to +3 for like 5 minutes on Monday night, and it's like, well, I think Cincinnati -2 is a good bet, and I think Philly +3 is a good bet. Right. So when you look at those ticket splits and all that, who was on what?
And Sunday morning, it'll be 84% are on Cincy -2.5. And that's fine. But so is, 80% of or 90% of Philly +3 would have been the splits if that number stayed at 3. So it's a good way of assessing it. I'm going to give you a bet today that I don't care what happens between now and Sunday. I don't care if you bet it at the opener. I don't care if you bet it in the contest. I'm going with the Bears -1.5. I actually believe that Daniels isn't going to play, and I think this number is going to get over 3. Laying points on the road with the rookie quarterback, obviously something we never really want to do here. Bears have played somewhat of a cupcake schedule, but the Commanders have played the cupcakeiest schedule of all. Their 2 losses against the Ravens and the Bucks, their 5 wins against teams who have a combined 35% win percentage this season. And as we talk about cupcakes, you've got Caleb, who's going to go against a really, really porous Washington secondary. So if we want to say they're not playing anyone good, that's fine. They're still not going to be faced off with a team, who's going to give Caleb issues like he had early in the season. And then on the other side of the ball, this is a unit thing. You guys know how high I am on Chicago's defense. And I think if anyone can limit the Commanders' offense, it's either Jaden Daniels on a non-practicing week or obviously Marcus Mariota. I'm going to take the players on the field who have been schemed up well against just Cliff Kingsbury in this matchup to win by 2 or more points.
I also think this has room to grow.
Exactly.
When it becomes official, when whatever Daniels is not going to play, I think 3 gets eventually dealt. So if we want to, again, I haven't been too successful playing this closing line game, but I do think that has room to grow as well. Washington continues to be one of the hardest teams to handicap. You look at There's certain guys that tweet a bunch of people's different power rankings throughout the week, and Washington's like I've seen them as high as like 11, seen them as low as like 20, right? So they've been really difficult. And then you throw in the monkey wrench of Mariota, who he came in when they're already up big, continued to Panthers quit, and the fact of the matter is Mariota is not a great quarterback, and the reason that Washington has upgraded in anybody's power rankings, they have upgraded them, it's been because of the quarterback play. So, net to me, it's like a bigger drop off than I think people might be inclined to think.
Right. No one has upgraded that Commanders defense and been like,
right.
They're
So,
much better than we thought.
That's actually exactly where I was going to go. And I'm not saying that secondary is good by any stretch of the imagination, but the first couple weeks and last year was like, this is the worst secondary in football. They have made changes that, what do you mean?
Changes or made progress?
They've made progress.
No, they haven't. 2 weeks ago, the Ravens shredded them.
We didn't really shred. I mean, we shredded
Lamar
the
threw
Bucs
for
defense.
323 yards.
It's just like they're playing better defense. I'm not saying it's a good defense. I'm just saying they're playing better defense.
I actually don't agree. I think that's a one-game sample of they fell behind by 1 million points and Dalton isn't actually good and the Panthers quit in the game. I do not find them to be upgraded. Like, who's a worse secondary and pass defense to you besides maybe Carolina?
Like, since they got shredded by the Bengals and the Bucs, and it was appreciated that they were awful despite winning that Bengals game, 14 points to the Cardinals, 13 points to the Browns, 30 points to the Ravens is not great, but it's the best offensive football, and then Panthers 7. And I agree, Cardinals, Browns, Panthers, not great offenses, but they've improved.
I don't think you can even mention the Browns in a discussion.
Or the Panthers.
It's not a great data set.
They're
whether
better
it's against
than
good
the
teams or
worst.
bad teams, confidence in sports is a big thing. So if these cornerbacks and these secondary believes that they are better, that can come off into reality.
I think what you mean by this is that Washington has gotten into a lot of positive game scripts and has been leading, and other teams have been forced to throw the ball. They are 28th ranked PFF coverage grade. If you look at their coverage grades by week, last week, 89.4 is their best coverage grade, again, against Carolina when they're up 1 trillion points. You go before.
But also, Dalton has had success. No, even against the Bengals.
I know, but it was over before the game started. Like, it was over in 5 minutes.
By the way, 28th. I think it was appreciated that they had the worst secondary.
But
so if it's 28th.
No. Because when you're bottom 5, it's more of a bottom 5.
No, they're bad. I wasn't saying they're a good
and
defense.
one last thing
better.
that wasn't mentioned. It's not like this coach for the Bears is a world beater, but he's got a bye week. And no disrespect, because they took the bye after London, which,
no disrespect.
Casey loves to mention how if you don't take your bye, you disrespect your next opponent. So, I love the Bears in this spot. And if the Bears win this game, they move to 5-2 sneakily.
By the way, that's why I kind of like the Jets. Pat's showing some serious disrespect, not taking their bye after London.
All right. Who's your pick?
My pick, I want it on the record. I hate the board this week. I said I loved it last week.
Okay.
I went 8-3. I hate the board this week. I will not be spraying board. I usually come to the show with 2 or 3.
8-3.
Sorry?
3. I think it's fair to mention you passed on 3 games. You can't just act like you crushed the
Well,
board when you're not.
Spraying the board doesn't mean every single game. I think picking 11 matchups is pretty solid.
Just transparency, that is really good. I mean, that's incredible.
Anyways, I
A
usually
pass
come with
is a
2
win.
to 3. I usually come with 2 to 3 that I love, hoping one ends up the consensus one. My pick. I had to force a pick out there, and I'm going with the Eagles plus 2.5. Let's talk through it. The Eagles are not good, and I'm starting to accept that. And the Bengals are good, and I have accepted that. And the worst part about the Eagles is their secondary. And Darius Slay got hurt. I don't know his status. Everything is telling me Bengals get to 4-4. It's like, okay, they got off to a bad start, but they're going to make the playoff push. Everything is going to be good. Burrow's about to shred this secondary. And I'm just like, fuck it. Maybe the opposite happens.
You're in your own head.
So, because the Eagles, when they looked their worst, it was when A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith were out. We see the impact that A.J. Brown has on Hurts's play as a whole. He's that guy that he gets open, so you throw on the ball, or even when he's not open, you can throw on the ball, and it relieves a lot of pressure. The Bengals' defense is also awful. So if the Eagles, who had a ton of success rushing the passer against the Giants, granted Andrew Thomas was out, can get Burrow under any pressure, I think they can win this game because I think they will be able to put up enough points with their complementary run and pass game to get to a 27, 28, maybe 30-point game. And if they can get some pass rush and get Burrow off of his spot, I think they can maybe hold him to 24 points. And can they score enough points to keep it close to where the 2.5 makes a difference? I'm not holding out hope, but it feels nice that I am getting a few points. And if it gets to 3, as Tim said, we love it.
I've had the hardest time handicapping this game
Impossible.
because I have been really pro Cincinnati, like as the ship was going down. I continued to buy on them, and now I'm worried we're in the spot where it's too high. Like now everyone's like Cincinnati's good again, and Phil, I think you bring up a great point with Philadelphia. I felt pretty similar with Philadelphia. With the wide receiver injuries, it is. I make the game right on it, 2.5, but it really has to. It's all about your perception of where these teams are. Like it's some people like I'm seeing. I saw some power rankings have Cincinnati like 5 or 6. And again, it's like when they were 0-2 was what is wrong with this team? Sell everything. Like I'm in a pretzel with this. I wanted to bet Philly plus 2.5 so badly. People I respect went on the Bengals. It scared me off.
Yeah. Also at 0-2, Burrow didn't have a wrist, and now he has a wrist. So that's worth
Can I
the
give you some
adjustment.
I'll give you some talking points, and then I'm going to give you some advice.
By the way, all I want to say is watching Tim's head shake the correct way when I'm speaking, and then him saying you made a great point. Like I could lose this bet by 100 points. Like my week is made.
Yes,
you don't want that,
but
dude. You own that ass. You want me to go?
Yeah, we want you to win. But Casey, this is literally you every week saying if you don't love it, there's other stuff on the board.
No,
I know you don't love the
find a
board,
spot.
but out of all the things on the board, this is the game.
The biggest toss-up ever.
The biggest toss, like
ever. I was scouring
like
for a spot that I liked more than this.
Like you're
I hate the board that much that I literally was like, fuck it, let's flip a coin and see what happens.
Yeah, you're paying juice to flip a coin. All right, let me give you some talking points.
Sure.
Though, after I give you that advice. Cincy is funny, right? Because their losses, they lost to the Chiefs close, the Ravens close. A lot of games that they should have won.
Sure.
Their wins, Cleveland, ugly. Carolina, ugly. Giants
very ugly.
So, like, you have zero clue on what the hell is going on in Cincinnati. Meanwhile, in Philly, I actually think we should. I hate the Eagles. I was never that high on them. But looking back, beat Green Bay, and Green Bay is starting to look like a really quality win. Uncompetitive against the Bucs with no weapons. They had Lane Johnson out for a time. Mauled the hell out of the Giants, who gave this same Cincy team a little trouble. I think the best way to find the matchup, because on paper you're thinking, all right, Cincy's going to throw in this god-awful secondary. The Eagles' offense has looked mediocre at times, but the run game, I think that's where the difference is made.
Well, I think the key is that it's now complementary to each other, where when A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith were out, it's like if Saquon doesn't break a couple and Hurts gets us a couple first downs on third down scrambling, then we're fucked. I think the fact that you have to respect A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith as weapons, which opens up the box a little for Saquon to show it's amazing to see that Saquon is the guy that everyone thought he was in a competent offense.
You're getting 2.5 in a true coin flip. This is one of those where someone's going up 10-0 in the first quarter and someone's going up 21-13 in the second quarter. I
want the Eagles to make it 27-26 with about a minute 10 left. Burrow drives right down the field against that crap secondary. They kick a field goal. Bengals win by 2. And I think this is actually a really smart
spot for Casey to be in because
All
it's
right, let's
a
flip it.
win-win. He can't lose. If the pick wins, he's a genius. If it loses, he picked the toughest spot on the board. Props. Kudos to him for really getting in the foxhole there and going in the toughest game.
Why
Dude's
does
a
God
fucking
give me the
genius.
toughest battles?
Yeah,
Picking
why-
the Bengals-Eagles game.
Picking the game with zero value, zero analysis.
But if
on.
it's coin flip and I'm getting 2.5, I guess I'll take it. I don't know. Let's move on to pick number 4. I hate it. I still hate it, but Tim said I made a good point, so I'm good.
Can I say one thing?
You can say 3 things.
The Eagles secondary has been a big talking point. It's weird. PFF has them as their coverage grade has them as 9th best.
Yeah, it actually doesn't shock me. As a big hater, Slay and Bradbury were the problem, and they've gone to these young kids, and
Right.
Quignon's good.
Quignon's been spectacular, and the safety play has been better than years past.
DVOA against the pass, 16th. Like I feel like people are talking about them like they are bottom 5.
Yeah,
And-
Last year's
Washington.
secondary.
Right, and
Yeah,
when this-
exactly.
And when this Ravens team played Cincinnati, everyone felt Cincinnati had an edge in the passing game. Ravens were like real bad against the pass. Like the Eagles, in comparison, if you just look at, I can't tell you X's and O's, but just these numbers say that Philly is marginally better than.
Yeah.
Than
All right. Well,
Baltimore.
hopefully that comes across.
And this is
on
why I'm
Sunday.
a terrible fucking bettor because I didn't like this game at all. And now, you give me 3 talking points, and I'm going to be hammering the Eagles. I think it's a lock now.
Who's your lock of the week, Uppy?
All right, I will start this by going on the record saying Falcons were my favorite, and like Casey, I don't love this board. But I graciously, I wanted Tim to handle the Falcons handicap.
You wanted
'cause
Tim
he's
to
way
get one
more
on the board. That's very kind of you.
See one go in.
Also that. So I'm just going to go to the old tried and true fade Patrick Mahomes as a favorite of 7 or more points, 22 and 27 and 3 ATS. On the road, that's 5, 10 and 2 ATS. And this is just Mahomes' offense that's not very good. He's been playing very poorly. Since last season, he has 22 interceptions. That's worst in the NFL. Sam Howell with 21 would be second, and he's fucking
Wow.
dog shit. So just Mahomes hasn't been great. I loved him last week. Honestly, we should have everyone apologize to me for forcing me into that consensus and betting my own money on that. So we're going to go and take the Raiders. It's gross, but I think it's a good spot.
The absolute best part about Uppy and why he's on the show is because he loved the Chiefs, and we literally talked him off it. And being talked into the consensus on the show, sure, we all have our money over the course of the season, 3 versus 1, but actually flipping sides on the bet and then hammering them live. How many times do you hit them live throughout Sunday?
Oh, I don't know. There were a couple beers mixed in there, and we just kept going. But I'm a ride or die. I ride with my dogs, and even though
that's
Casey's kind of been a dick over this Tampa pick, and I don't like him as much, he's still my boy, and I'm gonna bet with the squad. It's just
For what
who
it's
I
worth,
am.
I love this pick. It was one that stood out to me. This is I just have zero interest in picking the Raiders because they're so bad. But at some point, this fraudulent Chiefs team is not going to cover a number. So I don't mind, fading them in a good spot, right? Like you could definitely make an argument. While we thought last week was the right side, it was a bad spot because Mahomes is a short dog or favorite is always the play in a bad Mahomes spot, similar to when we did this with Lamar versus the Raiders. I think what were the Ravens laying in this game?
9.5
laying
at home. 9.
9.5 at home.
It got bet down a little bit.
Yeah. So, you get the home field advantage, although we know Vegas can be iffy. I genuinely still power rate. Playoff, Super Bowl, different conversation. But regular season, I power rate the Ravens better than I power rate the Chiefs in terms of, injuries, I feel like wasn't Max Crosby questionable for that game? Also, Wilkins might have been out against the Ravens. So yeah, this to me is an overreaction to records and to Mahomes.
Yeah, and I think Gardner coming back in should be a good thing in my opinion. And Uppy, just know if there was no love here, I wouldn't give you all the hate. I'm also trying to fuel like a crash out from like we just come on week 10 and you're like fuck this shit and you start yelling one time. That makes it really good for the content. I didn't get it, but I tried to get it out of you. But I'm good with the Raiders as well. It seems like a lot of points when I saw it, but like they'll probably win by 21 just because it's the fucking Chiefs.
It's totally a big balls, hold your nose. You know what? Like we haven't had many of those this season that have paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's, and that's why I like it.
Here's a fun conversation for the show. I, last year, made a conscious decision to stop chasing those things, right? Tim, 5 years ago,
right.
Those were the easiest bets in the world. Bet the bad teams because they were always getting a ridiculous amount of points at home, and it wasn't that big of a gap. I don't know what has shifted, if it's more because betting is talked about or if there's been some change in the NFL. I genuinely feel like the best teams smoke the worst teams nowadays. When in years past, maybe it was just more competition, which is weird to say because there's not even a clear top dog nowadays. Like it feels like there's more parity, but at the same time, like the Panthers feel like they're throwing out that C team roster where now I'm like, maybe Georgia could beat the Panthers. The Panthers are so goddamn bad.
You know what it is these fucking kids, these Gen Z kids, they got no heart. Nobody wants to work anymore. No lunch pail guys anymore.
Yeah.
They just give up. They
But
quit.
you say that, but also like that first 5 weeks, we got like the biggest dogs all winning outright. So like we still got it. To start the season. But
those, I think that was more of a miscalculation of certain teams, partially.
Raiders and Ravens, that wasn't a miscalculation. The Raiders are who we
sure.
thought we were, and the Ravens were who we thought they are. It's just happened. But Antonio Pierce loves a cover for no reason. So I guess betting on the Raiders is not the worst thing.
That's a very good call as well. One interesting thing from our guy EA, Casey, you'll like this.
Big dog.
The Kansas City Chiefs have the worst point differential for a 6-0 team in the Super Bowl era.
They're frauds.
They're biggest frauds.
We know they're
ever.
frauds.
The only bigger frauds are Miami Hurricanes college football fans.
Yeah,
that's the ranking.
Uppy,
All right,
the boys.
Like the boys are vibing on the show, not in Slack, but on the show. That's what's important. And it feels like even though we don't love the board, we're going to be able to find a consensus here, unless we've found our top 4 plays and now we're really in the gutter. I'm going to throw out one.
I actually have it, Jack. I got it.
Go ahead.
I already figured it out because we've been waiting to do this for weeks. I know we don't like Thursday night games, but the teams that just played the Lions and they get their ass kicked. Thursday night, Vikings going to LA,
I
all this
fucking love it.
turmoil.
I
LA,
took the Rams
the Cooper
money line.
Cup stuff. Yeah, I could see them win outright. I mean, you're getting 3 with the Rams at home. We haven't been able to test this theory of teams that had just played the Lions.
Uppy, my only issue is you got to expedite the editing process. But if you're good to go, on that, I'm good taking the Thursday game.
All right. I hate that you pointed that out. I also saw some good game script or X's and O's because we're always looking for X's and O's. The Vikings and Flores defense is the worst against dagger concepts, which is what the Rams and Stafford and Cup run at the highest frequency in the NFL. So a little X's and O's breakdown there. I hate it though. I am so low.
And with all the fake trade rumors circulating by
but that's for both
sides.
That's both sides. And we say Thursdays just bet the better team, which I think the Vikings are the significantly better team.
Wow. So did Jack do that to get into one of these teams' heads? So
I think I got into Darnold's head though. I think I got into Darnold.
I'm good with it personally.
I don't like
Tim, what are your thoughts? You refuse the Thursday game.
Yeah, I really refuse the Thursday game. I'm gonna add one more thing here.
Uppy, we'll just ride into the night
Stafford
together
as
on
a
that one, the
dog,
two of us.
Darnold Lane 3. You know what this is to me? This is the Eagles Bengals. It's just like
No, I think
how
this is a spot.
how is the
I think
Rams
this is a
not the
spot.
play? How the hell are they getting 3 points?
road favorites on Thursday night,
Yes.
57%.
Yeah. Because the better team.
Better team.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Uppy handpicked a spot here, but we'll ride that.
All
with
right.
the two of
We're
us.
2 for 2. So no consensus. I could be swung, but I think I lean Vikings for some reason. It's just tough to figure
Does anyone want to bet on Tua?
that. What's that number? 3.5. No. The reason why I'm well, you could get the other two in. The reason why I'm out on the Dolphins is because based on my buddy who's a big Dolphins fan, I asked him, I was
Who
like,
doesn't know a thing?
Is
how do
this
we
Dean?
feel? Yes.
You literally.
But no, he's anti because he acknowledged there's problems. Like Tua was the Band-Aid for everything that's going on right now.
Yeah,
and the Dolphins are a
that's-
bad football team.
Yeah,
Way
It
more
shouldn't
than
look
it,
this bad.
Exactly.
That's true.
But I will say that the defense is pretty good. And even though Kyler has been my MVP pick, I continue to downgrade that team all around. So it would not shock me if they blew the brakes off them.
Yeah, and then
I have one.
when old Soup Brains gets hit one time and he's dead,
Yeah.
go to Huntley
Yeah.
in the first quarter, and
Jesus
that pick's tough.
I mean, hey, if we're putting the Jets having bad luck in the handicap, I feel like
it's
Tua
fair,
not
it's
finishing
fair,
a
it's
game
fair.
might be solid.
I like
all
him
right.
at 3, not 3.5, by the way.
Agreed. Okay. All right. Here we go. You ready to really hold your nose here?
Do we have to do two of these? We already have one on the card.
America's team plus 4.5 in San Francisco. I think that similar to the Dolphins, this team is having the Super Bowl hangover. I'm nervous about all the injuries. And I'm not saying I'd love the Dallas Cowboys, but they've just been polarizing. Like some people think
They're
they're the
usually polarizing. They just suck this year.
but that's what everyone's saying. But then look at the results. Yes, they got fucking
They've
splattered.
beaten the Browns, Steelers, and Giants, 3 of the worst teams in the NFL.
Right. And then they've gotten smoked by the Ravens, Lions, and who?
And the Saints.
And the week 2 Saints were the best team
Right.
in
So,
NFL.
and then they're going to San Francisco to play a good team. I'm still in on the Niners.
I might be selling a little. That's my Super Bowl pick. I think I could be selling too early here and I'm overreacting too much. I'm nervous the Niners are truly broken. Dallas off a bye. Niners without wide receiver 1. I don't think Debo's going to play. Mason hasn't been as good as McCaffrey. 4.5?
If no Debo, I like this a lot, but the Cowboys' defensive concerns is what I want to wait.
The Cowboys are. I'm a huge Dak fan, and the Cowboys. He is just not good this year.
But this is all right. You want to talk about Jets being the Jets? The most Cowboy thing in the world
They're not those guys this year.
is them winning this game, finally getting over this Niners hump, and then they probably play the Panthers next week and lose that game. Sunday night, Dak in prime time.
What do you guys think? I'm out personally.
I like it a lot.
Tim?
I'd take it if we have to.
All right.
Okay. All right.
The reason I'm annoyed, and this might be more of a reason to bet it, is before San Francisco had that catastrophe against Kansas City, injuries and losing once again to Kansas City, this line was 7. So a lot of this is baked in.
Yeah.
But we mentioned the cluster injuries. If you don't have Ayuk and Debo, you're going to Pearsall and
Uppy, they downgraded the team by 3.5 fucking
Jennings
points.
was also hurt last week. Who are we going
2.5.
to? Kittle and running the ball a ton.
What do we think about?
Also, one last thing. The Niners offense scares you, the idea and the concepts of a plan that Shanahan has, but their red zone efficiency has been nightmarish, like bottom 5 in the league.
The Cowboys aren't a defense to take advantage of that, I don't
But
think.
See, but that is and this is why betting is great and why talking about it is great, because your angle is, well, this is the get right spot against a bad Dallas red zone team. But my talk is like, they're going to continue to be bad in the red zone. I think bad red zone teams are just bad in the red zone. And that's a positive to why I like Dallas, is because they can't exploit that matchup.
What do people think? Because Rattler is so bad. What do we think about the Chargers laying a full touchdown?
No shot.
Burrow's playing the best football of his career.
No,
If they
he's
can get
not.
that,
No,
not
he's
career, sorry.
No, he's not.
Best football of this season.
What do you
And
mean?
if they can get the run game back on track,
No.
Tim loves it. I just can see it in his eyes.
Tease
Yeah,
piece for me.
Tim is always looking to lay -7.5 in the NFL with a team that.
Why don't we just let the comment section choose our fucking consensus?
I'm in
Why don't
on
we
Dallas.
Why don't we just take the Jets? Everyone knows they're going to cover 6.5.
Tim said Dallas is fine, so I'm a Dak guy. I'll do it.
I have a feeling we get dealt 4 in the contest tomorrow.
Then that seems like a hard out. What about?
We're running out of games.
Do we like Indy, but not Love?
Will not
to do Anthony Richardson.
Will not do Anthony. They're
Okay.
not playing the better quarterback, and everyone knows it, and it sucks.
The real question is, do we just ride Green Bay and say F the sharp money and like just roll with the 16-2?
By the way, 2 straight. You want to talk about travel? 2 straight weeks in London, you really get acquainted with that time zone.
Oh, do you now?
Coming back, they may have trouble recalibrating.
Hey, all accordion chips.
I
And,
will say
From Timmy,
Timmy,
I saw that Trevor Lawrence is first read merchant.
He is.
and Green Bay is power rated top 5 in Timmy's rankings. I would argue that this line, Timmy, I'll need the look ahead line, but the Jags beat up on the Patriots, who are quite shite.
They are. Bit rubbish.
I'm fine with Green Bay.
Like, this is.
No, 5 years ago, the Jags are the most quickly bet team in the history of betting.
Road favorites, man. Let's just ride the road favorites.
Tim and I's brains are
profitability.
fucking shattered.
I hate the Packers too, and I'm down to take it just because of a 2-week road trip to London.
No, this is the thing with me, and I've been making this mistake for the past 2 years, is not going with my numbers and getting scared away by sharp money.
Tim, you
Yeah,
are
I
the
think
sharp
also-
money, brother. Believe in yourself, man.
I think also, didn't you say the Packers have one of the best pass offensive lines?
One of the
I know I
best,
said that like an idiot.
one of the best pass blocking offensive lines.
Pass protection, yeah.
Let me cue that up for you right now.
Because I feel like when Jacksonville has success,
Number
it's
2.
because is when Hines Allen and Walker get after the quarterback. If we can protect Love, and maybe it's like
Casey just wanted to
drop.
He just wanted to drop that he knew the pass rushers on the Jags.
And that the
He
guy
was
changed
dying.
his name last year.
It's like I told you that the reason Houston would cover is because Love would turn the ball over a bunch of times, which happened. T-Law will give him right back, I feel like.
Dude, I'm telling you right now,
It's the play. Lock it in.
I love this Packers team, and to me, I am higher on the Packers than a lot of other people, and I think I've been right about that.
Hello, mate. We found our consensus.
No, hold on. What if we just
No.
No. Ride the piss out of the Lions -11.5? Or, Tim, you don't even like the Titans, right?
No, I did. God, no.
Like, the Titans and Jets covering this week are the fattest locks of all time.
So here's what Green Bay and Detroit have in common this week. Does anyone know?
No.
they play each other next week. So both in a little
The
trappy.
old look ahead.
Look ahead.
Little
Against
looky
two
look.
It's a
bad
sandwich spot for
teams.
both teams, right? Green Bay coming off the Houston win, Detroit off the Minnesota win, and
I didn't realize. I don't know what the official contest line is. We're obviously looking at early ones here. No one likes the hook in Seattle.
the 3.5. I bet Seattle early in the week. The Metcalf thing, a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah,
Oh,
DK
is he gonna be out?
Yeah, DK
Okay,
out. I don't
yeah,
like.
I don't like. Ah,
Nah, DK.
They're running the-
DK's that good.
he is that good.
is.
But if any team is scheme dependent like Seattle and has somewhat of a replacement,
They don't.
also they run the
JSN and
ball.
Lockett aren't a replacement for what DK provides.
Yeah,
them.
but the skill and talent, and Buffalo is cross country with the hook.
I'd rather go Pack or Dallas, honestly.
I would go Dallas. I also think Lions are a team that will just absolutely run it up. If there's anyone that covers a double-digit spread, it's Detroit.
I think they're going to beat the fucking brakes off of
Might be
Tennessee.
30. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback.
Wait, why did we move off the Pack? I hate 2 weeks in London. Their time.
They did this
body
last year and they
clocks.
won when they came home.
Did they?
Yeah, and covered.
Who'd they play?
Colts.
They can get the body clocks right that quick. I refuse to believe
It's
it.
because they didn't have to change languages.
Ah,
Like you play in Germany, that's different. But they were speaking English. So,
I will be
you know.
taking someone in the Germany game when that week comes.
I also
Um,
I think it's a bit of a fake breather for Jacksonville as well. Okay, there was about to be horrid if we lost. Thank God we didn't lose to the
Agreed.
Patriots. Here comes fucking Green Bay, who I think is a top 5 team in the league, with an elite defense, despite fucking what everyone wants to say.
I think we go Packers because this is something Tim mentioned early in the week, and he knew all the sharp money.
I
was
knew. I
gonna come on
told you. I
Jacksonville.
told you.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be.
No, we
I'm
knew that.
down
We knew
for
that.
Timmy's diagnosis. He's been
But-
all
but
over this game.
What about the fact that we know the Giants are covering 6.5 in Pittsburgh, and we also know that Carolina is covering 9.5 in Denver?
Not interested in betting on a game like that. I'm a big eye guy, so I don't watch a ton of
Really, I thought you were a
know
stats guy.
ball.
I just I had you
I
pegged.
just know ball to an nth degree that can't even been calculated. So I don't watch enough of those shit teams to really know what's good with them.
Oh, boys.
Dallas or Green Bay? Where do we lean?
I lean Green Bay.
I lean Dallas, but for the sake of the show, we should give our worst picker 2 games this week.
Yeah,
that's a
no,
good
that's the
recipe.
thing. We should just not be. I shouldn't be in the conversation.
Which side do you lean, Tim? You lean Green Bay?
With Green Bay?
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
No, between Dallas and
Green
Green
Bay and
Bay.
Dallas. It's a 9-point swing, right? Laying 4.5 or getting 4.5. So, the guy likes points.
I will be betting Green Bay. Since I missed the boat on Dallas, I won't be betting them.
Got it. Okay. All right. Fuck it. Why don't we do this? Another win-win. Let's bet Green Bay, which we know is not the right side in terms of situational spots over the last couple of years. We all hate it, even though we think it's the right side. So if it wins, it's we learned our lesson. Away favorites, they just clean up. And if it loses, we come on and we say how smart we are
Yeah.
because obviously they were never covering that number.
And it was kind of Tim's consensus, so we just blame.
Yeah,
him.
no, that's what I'm trying to avoid here at all costs.
No,
Yeah.
I brought up Green Bay. So
No, you got one in the door with the Falcons. All right, congrats.
Green Bay minus 4.5 is the consensus.
We're gonna get 4 in the
unless-
contest.
Okay. All right.
Perfect. We'll take a push.
Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking vomit. I'm
All right.
I can't. I need oxygen. I'm gonna be sick to my stomach.
We'll be together watching it actually on Sunday.
I know I'm actually I'm sweating already. I'm gonna be fucking sick.
All right. How about this, Tim? Give out a bonus NASCAR winner for Sunday.
Oh, bonus NASCAR winner. Yeah, let's do that. Hang tight.
Hang it.
And this is like the best part of the show is like Tim will, go through his numbers. He could literally say someone who's driving like F1, and Uppy will just search on Pikkit and be like, all right, lock that in.
Oh.
I will also be blindly betting.
Yeah,
this.
100%.
Oh, we got a good bet. Ooh, I can't believe they did this to us. We got a good bet.
Should this be the consensus? And if like 10 to 1 hits, Tim gets 10 points to his score.
I have one better for you. 20 to 1. Martin Truex Jr., 20 to 1 to win at Homestead, Miami. He was he's been second fastest there over the last 3 times they've gone to Homestead in average speed. They're hanging him 20 to 1, mostly because he is outside of the playoff race, but those guys are still driving as well. He's in JGR equipment. 20 to 1, MTJ.
Fuck yeah. All I had to hear
Love
was
trucks.
JGR equipment, and I was so fucking in.
And one of my friends
Is that like wearing a
of my
Riddell
friends-
helmet? Like, how much value is it, JGR?
one of my friends' nicknames is Jakey Truex Jr., so I couldn't be more in.
Yeah, I fucking love that. Oh my God.
All right.
Sprinkle a little top 5 finish in there as well, plus 220.
Come on, Martin.
All right.
No, we actually doing fucking Green Bay. Like I know we're going long here, but
No, it's already decided.
Yeah, we're locked
You're
in.
done.
dude, I'm terrified.
Go grab your oxygen mask because it's locked in.
Dude, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
All right, that's the show.
No.
I'm on the Bears -1.5. Casey is flipping the coin on the Eagles +2.5. Timmy's got the Falcons -2.5. Uppy, who did Uppy go with?
Raiders +9.5.
Oh,
We're gonna
hold
get
your
10.
nose,
We're gonna
Uppy.
get 10. We're gonna get 10.
We get 10 there, and then we lay with the Pack, which I am a part owner. I don't know if I'm allowed to legally bet on the Packers as a shareholder, but we've got the Pack, and then Martin Truex Jr., 20 to 1. That's the play of the weekend. We'll see you next week. Much love. Deuce.
Oh man.